All right, everyone. It's Friday, and you know what time it is? It is time for Manufacturing E-commerce Success. I am one of your co-hosts, Damon Pistolka, and that pretty gentleman, right over there, my friend Kurt Anderson. Now, we are. I just gotta confess, we are a minute late because Kurt got so excited for this that he pulled a hamstring prior to getting coming live.
I need to go get some ice. I'll be right back.
But today we're going to be talking about SEO success for manufacturing companies. Kurt Anderson, friend, take it away.
Dude, now first, where was the music? Like, you caught me off guard. Like, usually we have like this little, I can compose myself. I didn't even get a chance.
That is why this is live, and I forgot to turn the music on to bring in, so point it out.
Yeah, you know what, Holly, I get he's brand new at this game.
Yeah, I've never done this before.
Never done. Yeah. Okay. All right, Damon, let's dive in. So happy Friday, everybody. Man, happy early Father's Day to all our fathers out there. So wonderful. This is speaking of Father's Day, Damon, like, I feel like, proud dad, proud uncle with this wonderful human being here. So we're going to dive in, drop a little note in the chat box. Let us know that you're out there. This is going to be a phenomenal program. So, Damon, we've got Holly McCauley Jobe. I just call her Irish for short. Holly, happy Friday. How are you?
Happy Friday. I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. When I was doing my agenda last week to organize my week this week, I saw that it was happening and I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to chat about SEO and see you guys again. So I'm stoked, charged up, ready to talk.
Well, let's make it happen. And how many times have you been on the program? Would you guess? Any idea?
No. When we last were collaborating in Buffalo, I thought maybe 6. But
was it 6?
I don't know. Maybe that's high. It feels like 6, but I'd have to really go back and check. Damon, do you know?
I have no idea.
He's not even sure how many he's been on.
Yeah, I don't even know how many.
All your favorite guests, and I'm not on top. This is crazy.
You know what? Shame on now. All right, 2 things. Number 1, shame on the host. We should know exactly how many. But it's been so many. It's hard. Like, if it gets over a certain number, Damon, I just can't count that high, Holly. So that's one challenge.
It gets past fingers and toes, I'm done.
And secondly, now, Holly, when you were on before, I asked you who your hero was, and I know the wonderful answer is always Mom, right? Mom was your hero. Do I have that correct? I do remember that, right?
100%.
Well, now, we do need to talk to Mom, because since you've been on the program, you should be a better judge of character to be hanging out with these 2 guys here. All right, let's dive in. Friends out there, drop us a note. Let us know you're out there, and if you want to learn a little bit about content marketing, you're in the right place. SEO, we have the authority. But Damon, it's not like she wrote a book. Oh, wait a minute, she did write a book about it, and we're going to dive into the book. Holly, any chance that you have the book handy that we could see there?
Oh, isn't this funny? Someone just put a copy on my desk.
What a coincidence.
I do. I have a copy right here. This is Inbound Immortal, The Undying Art of Attracting Customers.
Now, my dear friend, what encouraged you? What inspired you as a busy young woman as you are? How did you find time to write a book?
So it honestly came out of pure frustration. And so I have been working in the space for 6.5 years, and I have attended the Inbound Marketing Conference. We go to FabTech every year, and just various other educational opportunities to talk about inbound marketing, SEO, what have you. And I always found myself attending webinars, attending these sessions, and just feeling like, okay, yeah, we should be blogging, but how? Like, how do you do it physically? Like, what do you do? And even in working with clients, talking to the wonderful marketing specialists and strategists on the client side of things, and just finding areas where they've been bamboozled or confused by marketers or marketing in general, and just feeling like somebody needs to take the time and write a guide that teaches someone step-by-step how to accomplish inbound marketing. And my goal was, if a manufacturing client had never come to us and they had stumbled across this book instead, they would have the same success. And so I really just wanted to answer that question and give something super tangible of, yes, everyone says you need to do SEO, you need to do content, you need to be blogging, you need to generate leads. Okay, bye, end of webinar. And I just always felt like that's not super helpful. So I wanted to give a deep dive into that. And that was what my hope was with the book.
Well, that's fantastic. And so for folks catching us early, just for a shameless plug, we've got Holly at the Purdue MEP this Thursday, the 20th at 12
Yeah.
o'clock Eastern time. That's 9 o'clock for my friend on the West Coast, Damon Pistolka. So, all right, Holly, real quick, just for a preview, and we'll hit it again at the end. What are you talking about at the Purdue MEP on Thursday?
We're going to talk about AI, and I'm super excited because specifically what we're going to touch on is using AI as a manufacturing company and some of the do's and don'ts that we've seen so far, some of the best ways to increase efficiency, but also make sure that you're adhering to what we believe to be common ethical practices, and hoping to just save marketers, solo marketers time while eliminating some of the headaches that we've seen while experimenting with it for the past couple of months. Really almost a year now since ChatGPT really kind of came before.
That's right. So, all right, here it is, guys, on Thursday at Purdue MEP, June 20th at 12 o'clock Eastern time. Check out, if you just Google Purdue MEP, it's right on their homepage, right on their events page. Holly's going to be doing a deep dive on AI. This is going to be a great, wonderful program. And if you have not caught Holly, well, you're catching her right now, but catch her, speaking of Damon, how about this? Here she is in action. How about that one right there, Holly? What do you think? What's going on here?
So we had the privilege of collaborating with Insight out of Buffalo, and you, of course, Kurt, myself, my business partners, Donnie and Josh, and my SEO genius colleague, Zach Ware, were asked to come collaborate and speak at a session about SEO and really all things digital marketing for manufacturers. And we had a blast. It was so much fun. Kurt got to moderate the panel discussion. I may have chugged 2 Coke Zeros, and we just had a really fun time. It was so cool.
It was a blast, Damon. It was a great crowd of manufacturers, deep dive, lots of I know I was judged. How does the workshop go? If people don't walk out, right? If they don't walk out, everybody stayed right up till the end. And I'll tell you the time. I think it was almost 2 hours, Holly. Like it was over an hour and a half, and it flew by. Tons of questions, lots of engagement.
Nice.
And I'll tell you, Damon, Holly is, I tell you, when you get a chance to see Holly in action, it is truly a masterclass. And guess what? You've got that opportunity right here, right now. No better time than the present. Holly, let's go here. So again, if our friends are just joining us, we have got Holly Jobe from Protocol 80, manufacturing marketing guru extraordinaire. Had the honor and privilege working with Holly for many years. Holly wrote this wonderful, incredible book. Holly, let's break this down. Please share, what are we looking at here on this slide?
Yeah, so before we dive super deep into the pyramid itself, something that we've tossed around here a couple times, even in the first couple of minutes, is just this concept of inbound marketing. So I really quickly want to just give a definition of what that methodology is, what the philosophy is. So what inbound marketing is the idea of providing helpful content and valuable experiences to the people who interact with your business, specifically interact with your website, and attract them to you through that helpfulness versus that old kind of like outbound way of advertising and sales. And in the book, the analogy that I use is sometimes when you visit a website, it can feel like when you're walking through the mall and that person who's like selling lotions is like chasing you down the aisle and they're like, please let me put lotion on you. And you're like, I don't want lotion. I'm here to buy a dress for a wedding. It's very stressful. I want nothing to do with this, please. And so that's how sometimes our online experiences can feel. So inbound marketing pushes against that. And instead of being that lotion salesman who's just chasing you down, is providing helpful content about why the lotion would be valuable, what type of lotion might be best for your skin conditions, all of that type of genuinely helpful content that earns that brand the halo and attracts people to them versus forcing them into interactions with you and your business. And inbound marketing specifically works so nicely with manufacturing because of the long sales cycle. Most of the time, manufacturing purchases don't happen like that. It's not like buying a tube of toothpaste, or even as hard as buying a dress for a wedding is, it's still a longer sales cycle than that. So providing that helpful content and those valuable user experiences that are at the heart of what inbound marketing is just so aligned with how manufacturing personas or soulmates want to be purchasing and interacting with companies. So that was a long blurb. Kurt, Damon, anything you want to add? Anything we want to riff off there before we hop into how the pyramid fits into that?
Well, I think, when you think about inbound marketing, it works so well for manufacturers because it is. I mean, we're talking about most clients, even a small client in a reasonably, I mean, just say a $10 million manufacturer, not a big manufacturer. They've
Uh-huh.
got a lot of $1 million clients. There's a
Mhm.
few of them probably in their top clients. So when we're looking at inbound marketing, it makes a lot of sense to really be nurturing clients because $1 million, $2 million, $100 million client doesn't just walk in the door and say, "Hey, I'm ready to do business with you." They
Right.
really want to understand who they're doing business with because, first of all, that buyer's decision, the person that's responsible for making that buyer's decision, their career could be on the chopping block if they don't
100%.
make a good decision.
Mhm.
Because if we don't make the widgets right and they don't build their assembly, it doesn't get sold, and a lot of bad things happen. So inbound marketing, I've always thought is a great investment for manufacturers, and the size and number of clients is just it's so applicable to it.
Yeah, definitely.
How about, man, Holly? How about Damon just dropping the mic? How about that, huh?
Perfect. This is why I always have so much fun hanging out with you
That's
guys.
right. That
Like,
that was
we're on the same page.
that was perfect. So Damon, well, great for, man. Put a little whipped cream on top of the dessert here. So Holly, let's do a deep dive. So again, if you're just joining
Yeah.
us, we're here with Holly Jobe. She's just a marketing manufacturing extraordinaire. She's written this wonderful, incredible book. Holly, let's take a deep dive here. You're talking about scaling the inbound pyramid. What do we have going on here?
Yeah. So when we think about the idea of helpful content and valuable experiences as that main way to attract people to you, where you need to start with that is making sure that you have a really strong foundation and making sure that before you get to the point where you're producing a bunch of content, whether that be written content, video content, before you're running ads to push people to your site, you're super, active on social media, pushing people to your website. It's really important that you get those important things aligned and set up strong. Because otherwise you're sort of building a house on a shoddy foundation. So the four things, obviously, this is incredibly in depth, and this pyramid is sort of the most important hits of each of these phases through inbound marketing and getting from the point of just building to the point of getting sales. And I do, like I said in the beginning, it is so important to me to offer tactical help and support. So the book does dive deeper into this in terms of how to build a secure modern website, what platforms make sense, and that kind of thing. But generally, these are the most important markers of these phases as you're moving through them. So the first one being a secure modern website. So before you're creating content, you want to make sure that the platform, the website, the engine that you're creating content on can support it, is safe. And that's super important, especially for Google. So both from the user perspective and the search engine perspective, you want to make sure your website is good. You want to make sure you have an educated and dedicated marketing and sales team. And that is super, super important. You can't pull a poor solo marketer who's in charge of making sure that, high schoolers are coming and doing tours at the business. They're in charge of printing ID badges. They're in charge of somehow also doing sales. And now all of this content, this poor person is just not going to be able to execute all of that. So making sure that you're having those conversations and putting the right people in the right places, outsourcing if you can, or if you want to, and making sure that you have those capacities and resources set aside to do this properly. And Kurt, I think this really leads itself into a conversation about DIY, DFY, and DWY. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, great point. So, for the DIY, like you said, Holly, before, so, shameless plug, we're doing a wonderful workshop at Purdue University on Thursday, the 20th. And, that's a DIY. You come to the workshop, you're going to walk away. Holly's going to deliver some amazing gift opportunities on AI. We're going to do a deep dive strategies there. And it's a DIY, you go off and do it yourself. Now, let's say you want to take it one step further. That's where, like Holly, you guys at, at Protocol 80, you offer coaching. Damon and I work with clients on that DIY. Hey, we're going to do it with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sherpa, that guide, we're going to kind of hold your hand, but just say, you're at a level manufacturer, like, I hear you. I went to the webinar. It was awesome. Still don't quite get it. Thank you for the opportunity to do it with me. I still don't have time, muscle, bandwidth. That's where an agency like Protocol 80 comes in. You guys have 20 years of experience. You have the muscle, the team, the know-how, the experience, the proven track record. So that's that DFY. So DIY, do it yourself, DWY, man, find somebody that's been there, right? That can help you go down that path. And then a DFY, that's when you align with the team. And that's why, I love working, I've worked with a team at Protocol 80 for the past 10, 12 years. And I just love bringing clients to you guys. And the funny thing is, clients that I've brought to you years and years ago, you're still working with them. So it's so rewarding just how you and your team become partners and part of their company, part of their family almost. And it's very rewarding, refreshing to watch.
Yeah. Well, thanks for saying that.
Absolutely. Okay. Damon, go ahead. What do you got?
Well, the thing real quick on the DIY, DFY, DWY, you can do it for you, do it with you kind of thing, is it can change over time, right?
Yeah.
Because really in the beginning, if you, as you said, Kurt, don't have the resources, don't have the knowledge to do it, and just really don't know, the do it for you model to get things set up may be very applicable.
Yeah.
2 years down the road, you may or down the road a ways, you may readjust this and say, now we have someone that understands our content well enough so we can do this. We still don't want to touch the technical stuff, and we still need you to make the content look good, but we can produce some, right? So you start to do, and over time, it's so nice having a resource like Protocol 80 that can really make sure it's done right and complement your strengths and fill in the resource gaps that you need. It's just, because in marketing, and the pyramid shows that if the foundation is not right, everything starts to crumble.
Yeah. Yeah. In the book, I talk about the concept of tech debt, which obviously comes from the tech space, but I think that really applies to marketing as well, and leads into our next one, the powerful and intuitive CRM as well. Like website, team, CRM are really so important, because what happens a lot of times is we'll have someone come to us and be like, okay, well, we know our website isn't great. It's not generating leads. Okay, who has the login to the website? What was the plan? I don't know. Okay, it looks like it hasn't, been touched in a while. And what can we do about that? Let's try and run an audit. Can we have access to this? Well, we don't know who has it. And the problem is now it's at the point a lot of times for the business where they want leads now, or they have an exciting opportunity and they're like, well, P80, can you just like put up a website page about this new product that we're launching? And it's like, well, not really, because that would be like putting a gorgeous new stained glass hand painted front door on a house that is in the middle of a sinkhole. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to spend the time, effort, energy, and resources to do that. So these things are super important, so that down the line you have something sustainable and that you can build on. And those are really the three things that are kind of non-negotiable, because even when we get into personas and journeys, those things can change over time, right? You might be targeting a different type of soulmate. Buying decisions change over time, but making sure that your website is accessible, it's secure, it's modern, it can be consumed by Google mobilely and on desktop, all of that kind of stuff. Having a team that's educated, knowledgeable, also leaving some breadcrumbs and documentation so that there can be collaboration internally or externally. And then that last component, a powerful and intuitive CRM, are just so important so that you can continue to build and grow. So with the CRM, obviously a tool like that, software like that, is just integral for making marketers and salespeople's jobs easier. So you can set up those types of automation that is like, okay, if I'm working with a company and I already have information from other people at this company in my CRM will auto-populate information so a salesperson doesn't have to go in and do that, right? It can be smart. It can make those kinds of decisions. You can set up automation and things. But most importantly for marketers, for digital marketers, I think the number one value of having a powerful CRM and getting that in place before you start a lot of marketing decisions is the data. It is crucial. It is imperative to be able to say, okay, I had spent all of this time creating these blog posts, making these videos, and what did it do? Who did it bring? And just to say, well, I had 1,000 visits in the last month. okay, how many of them turned to leads? How many of those leads turned to customers? And then working backwards and saying, okay, what did those leads see? If 100 people turned into customers, did 50 of them look at one specific page? And maybe that wasn't even the most popular viewed page of the last month, but it's the one that brought in the most customers. And that's how you make really, really good marketing decisions. So you don't want to get into a situation where you're spending a lot of this time producing, and maybe you're even seeing results and you're seeing positive numbers, but you can't answer those core questions of like, but who did it generate? What's the bottom line? And how do we make better marketing decisions moving forward? So that was a bit of a soapbox, but I do believe that the CRM is such an important component to empower your marketing and sales teams to make the best decisions that they possibly can, so that they're not blind and trying to just guesstimate based on what they're seeing.
Just need to stop.
Holly, we're calling a timeout. We call them moments of silence. We're just going to let everybody savor. We didn't want to ruin like just the brilliance that you just shared. We're just going to savor Damon. That man, she just makes it so easy. As a matter of fact, you and I aren't going to talk anymore. We're just going to keep Holly. So, all right, buyer personas, soulmates, critical CRM, laying that foundation, secure website, web page. Let's keep moving forward. Let's go up the pyramid. What's next?
Cool. Really quickly, though, too, I want to add, so this is important when you're first starting out, but also it's never too late. And really important critical points to revisit the triangle and go through some of these things are when you're going to make a major push in investing in marketing. Also, when you're going to target a new vertical, maybe a new market, maybe a new region, maybe a new persona, you do kind of have to start back at the beginning and make sure that you're checking all of these boxes. So even if you're like, okay, I have a good website, I have a good CRM, when's the last time you revisited your personas, your soulmates, and made sure that those are the best fit for you in 2024, moving into 2025? Okay, brand awareness. So brand awareness is the next important metric, important segment that you want to be focusing on once your foundation is in check. So also, I feel like this is a constant plug for the book, but I do feel very strong about it and the value. And at the end of each of the sections, so once you finish working through the foundation component, there is a little checklist and a to-do list and exactly what to do, so you know when it's time to move on and what to look at next. So when you get into the brand awareness, that's when you're going to start really producing stuff. And what brand awareness is, the way that it's measured, is really by impressions, a lot of times in search, but that could also be on social platforms and that kind of thing. So the amount of eyeballs that are getting on you and your brand. And a lot of times the way that that has to happen is we want leads, we want sales, right? But working backwards, you have to have the eyeballs first. Then you have to get those eyeballs to your website. From your website, you need to get them to convert. And then once they convert, you need to get them to be to the point of a sale, right? So those impressions in search are what that next metric is that you're really trying to improve and you're trying to focus on. So that's where SEO comes in, making sure that you're showing up in the right places, showing up where your competitors are, and just targeting the things that are valuable for your business because they're valuable to your customers. So identifying what their pain points are, making sure that you're talking about content and solving their problems. And that is how you up impressions there. This is like a big topic. Am I rambling? Is that any questions or things I should clarify there? That's a big one.
No, that was fantastic. And again, we're here with Holly Jobe from Protocol 80. We encourage you, we invite you, we implore you, connect with Holly on LinkedIn. I put her book. She has this wonderful book. It's right here on the slide. I put the link in the chat box. Please go out, do yourself a favor. Great reading while you're at the beach or enjoying over the weekend or whatever it might be. Wonderful Father's Day gift, by the way. So Holly, speaking of brand awareness, but no, this is phenomenal. Please keep going.
Okay. Yeah. And then this next one being consistent branding with updated assets. I think that this will resonate with a lot of business owners, a lot of marketers, a lot of salespeople, is just when our assets change hands a lot, or we don't have concerted specific efforts on what it means to be our brand, things don't always look alike. Your trade show booth doesn't look like your website anymore. The one sheet that your sales team is sharing doesn't match the branding that's in the automation that marketing is selling. And when your brand awareness is starting to become more important, you've got your website in place, you're starting to get eyeballs on your brand. It's really important that all of those things match and sync up in a way that's logical so that you can start to develop that. So whether your color is purple, or we had a a client that rebranded, and they did this awesome like tennis ball green, very reminiscent of the Seahawks, that just really stood out. But that's a really great way. They know it from that was just for you, Damon. They knew it from seeing them at a trade show booth, to seeing it on the website, to see like those branding things start to be really, really important. And that's how you get the more intangible things like booth traffic, kind of hard to measure. But if you know you've spent a lot of time on your branding and developing something unique and making it consistent, when you see that booth traffic increase and you've been publishing things and focusing on your website, it's really easy to see how those things have worked together to just get more people excited about your brand. Also, customers referencing the website. So a lot of times what happens when we accomplish buyer interviews, when we talk to our clients' customers to ask them what they like or don't like about the website, if they use it, they're like, I didn't even realize they had a website. We've been working with them and loving them for so long that we didn't even realize this. But if you've improved your website and done what you're supposed to do in the foundation stage, your customers will be excited about it. They'll be finding resources that resonate with them there. And just, you're going to hear that more. And then again, you're in that swing of really consistent content production. This is probably a session for another time, all about what types of content to produce, but whether it's blogging, whether it's videos, whether it's live streams, whether it's charts, infographics, how you determine what that content should be comes from talking to your customers and what type of content would be helpful for them. And in this phase, it's also just about trying, looking at what's working and reporting on it. So you might want to just take a stab at all of these different avenues and decide, okay, we are going to try a little video and we're going to try a little blog and just see what starts to be successful, what people are getting excited about. But again, a good shortcut there would be calling up your customers and saying, okay, let's say for some reason we were to go out of business and you needed to look for a solution like ours. What would you Google? What would you want to look at? What would you want to consume? And that's a shortcut because they've just given you a roadmap for exactly where to start with that content. So that's what you should be focusing on in the brand awareness stage. That's kind of the next things to be looking at, to be focusing on once you know your foundation is in a super good spot. Should we move on to traffic?
Just savoring the moment.
Yeah, just savoring,
Right.
you
We'll
know,
take a
I
breath.
just want to just, all right, just, so again, for manufacturers out there, marketing friends out there, whatever, you know, we're laying the foundation. We're going into that brand awareness. Damon, our famous line, stop being the best kept secret, right?
Yes.
And I love how, Holly, how you tied this together about that consistency, you know, and again,
Yeah.
you know, as I don't care what space you're in, you know, healthcare, retail, whatever, you know, manufacturers, it's, you know, hey, sales are doing their thing over here, marketing's doing their thing. You know, it does get, you know, sometimes convoluted or challenging to keep everybody, you know, marching in the same drum or going the same direction. So I love what you're saying there. But again, like just getting that same consistent, I tell you that one big word right there, that consistency. I think that's the best takeaway. Damon, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's really the consistency and brand consistency and content production. It just, that is so key, because over time it's like building a mountain. It's like building a pyramid. Just think in Egypt, they started with one little block.
It's like
in the
building
corner.
a pyramid, you know.
Just
And
keep
so, Holly,
going, you know?
we'll move on to traffic, but we have a client that we're actually coaching with who is now all in on live streaming. Just loves it. He was at a conference yesterday, grabs like an industry influencer. You know, we did this wonderful interview, and the line that he uses all the time, I'm shamelessly stealing. I'm going to start putting it on our show, Damon. He calls it the brand promise. What's your brand promise?
I
right?
love that.
Is that a great word? So again,
that's amazing.
If sales is, to Holly's point, if sales is saying one thing and marketing is doing something else, and your email is over here, and there's just, you know, there, it hurts trust.
Yeah.
It hurts trust. And that's, and what's everything that we're doing? We're building relationships, we're building trust. And he's like, you know, he's in apparel, and all he's talking about is like, what does your brand represent? What is your brand's promise? Are you on time? Do you have quality? Do you care? You know, those types of things. Holly, let's keep the party rolling. Brand awareness. We're graduating into traffic. What do you have for us here?
Yeah. So once you kind of know you're in the traffic phase and what to start focusing on here will be because you're seeing these positive signs. So your traffic is improving monthly. Not only are the impressions going up that you're seeing in Google Search Console, in whatever reporting tool you're using, now you're starting to see clicks to your website improving. There's people coming there. Conversions are starting to come in. And if you're just starting out, they're maybe not the highest quality yet, but you're probably getting a couple strong marketing qualified leads, maybe a couple strong sales qualified leads coming in. And what's most important about this is data. So what you're also getting is you've spent all this time in your foundation and your brand awareness just producing. Now you can kind of start to look and say, okay, what is working? What's not working? What should we spend time on? What shouldn't we spend time on? And starting to run A/B tests in terms of like, okay, so we know this asset is our most important downloaded one. What happens if instead of it being our brand red, we change it to our brand purple? Do we get more convert? Like that's where this is really where things get fun and you can start to play around with that data. And you can also start to get things like automation in place. HubSpot CRM, which is what we use for Protocol 80, what all of our clients use in the manufacturing space. They just find it really conducive for their sales, marketing, and service teams. But you could do this in any modern, strong CRM platform, is getting some of the lead scoring in place that maybe that is determined by the parameters of your persona, like location, revenue size, company size, specifically what they converted on, what they're looking for, and giving them a score so that you can start to set up automation for those people that's starting to nurture them. Damon made that amazing point in the beginning about how this is a long cycle. Look at how steep this pyramid is. This is a long pyramid to climb. Once they come in and they're looking at your website and they're looking at you in search, we're still maybe talking years before they become a sale. So starting to get at this point, that automation and that lead scoring so that you're sending the right messaging to the right people at the right time is so crucial. And because you've built this amazing foundation and you have all of this wonderful data, you know how to set up that automation and make those decisions based on what people want. So this is why when I said earlier, it's really, really important to make sure that you have that infrastructure in place. And this is why, so that when things start to come in and your sales team is like, listen, I've got a lot of leads here with free email addresses maybe. And your sales team's like, I'm not going to waste my time following up with those people. But you as a smart marketer know, hey, I don't know, maybe that free email address is actually an engineer who was just on their personal account. Let's send them into some automation and see what happens. This is the phase to really be focusing on that. You've got people on your website. How do you take advantage of that? How do you maximize that and just continue to improve what you're producing? And I will say this phase, let's say you are a manufacturing company who hasn't really made any concerted efforts on marketing yet. You embark on a website redesign project, you get all of this foundation in place. You will likely, if you're keeping up a strong production cadence of producing valuable resources, whether that's videos, podcasts, blogs on a weekly basis, you will start to hit this point about 12 to 18 months after you started. So that I think is really important to touch on. In that brand awareness phase, you are doing a lot of work and you're sitting there for a while, but you should be watching your numbers start to climb.
Yeah.
And then after that 12 to 18 month point, you're living in this traffic space. At about 18 to 24 months is when you enter this nirvana of this lead generation space where things are really kind of starting to explode from a conversion standpoint.
Yeah.
Things are really just climbing up and to the right. You're increasing dramatically. Before we hop into lead generation, anything you guys want to touch on or sit with for a minute?
Just nirvana.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's amazing how you explain that timeline, because I've seen it myself in our company, undertaking a major redesign, getting the CRM set up right. And you're sitting there and you're watching and you're going, man, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Nothing's happening. It's like crickets. You're like, oh, wow. And then over time, you just keep with the faith, keep doing what you're needing to do. And pretty soon you go, we got a download. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We got some newsletter signups. That's pretty cool. And next thing you know, you're going, wow, we're getting one a day. And you go, that's really something when you went from zero to something like that in a manufacturer, especially because now we're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a lot. If you did one a week as a manufacturer and it was a good, solid, potential soulmate, My goodness, that's 50 plus a year. That
Yeah,
would be incredible.
100%. And that's why I think it's important to think about things in terms of these like markers, because I know what everyone wants when they embark on something like this is like, what's normal? I know I'm like that all the time. Like, let's say I just came down with the flu. I just tested positive for COVID. What's normal to be feeling right now? What I always want to know, am I within the normal range? What do people normally wear to this type of setting? Like, I'm obsessed with that constant reassurance and validation. So I also wanted to provide this, and it's a little bit more in depth in terms of like in the traffic section in the book, it has actual numbers that are like, okay, at this point, you should be up 35% month over month in your clicks. If not, you might want to produce more, like all of those kind of barometers. Cause I'm just addicted to stuff like that. Like, am I in healthy, normal range? Yes. Cool. But to your point, Damon, because you can be sitting there being like, I just spent all this money to redesign my website and nothing's happening, because what you're thinking about is those leads, those sales, but it's far too early. What the triangle tells us is what you need to be focusing right now is growing your impressions. And then after that, you want to be growing your clicks and your traffic. And if you're doing that, they will come. The opening line of the book is, the thing about inbound marketing is it works 100% of the time. I know this is going to sound really hokey and fake, but it's not. I've literally never seen it fail. When you are producing content, you're doing the right thing, you are reaching out to your customers' pain points, you're adhering to this, it literally works every time. I have dozens and dozens and dozens of charts for manufacturing companies that go like this. And what's important is that's not to be like, oh, P80 is so great. Like it's the philosophy, it's the methodology, it's doing this that works. And sure, partnering with us or another agency, that might be on your journey to help you get there, but it's not necessary. If you follow this, if you adhere to something like this, if you adhere to these best practices, I swear to God, it works 100% of the time. And what's evidenced by that, and Kurt, you got to hear my colleague Zach Ware and I talk about this, my favorite place on the planet is the SEO subreddit, because everyone there is just always having a meltdown at Google and about all the updates. And why that's happening is because people who do not adhere to this and they find quick hacks through SEO and they're like, I'm going to keyword stuff here and I'm going to pay for backlinks here, they're melting down because Google has sniffed them out and they're getting punished for it. But on the converse side, people who have been doing this, our clients, other inbound marketers, are just sitting back and watching their metrics continue to rise and being like, I was operating from a place of being helpful and producing good content this whole time. And Google knows that. My customers know that. So I'm not worried, guys. Like, so Damon, to your point, that is such a stressful time, right? Investing all of that money and being like, okay, now I just have to sit and wait. So my hope is that by chunking things out and thinking of things this way, it offers that, like, I can't compare my success of where my business will be in 5 years to where my business is 8 months after I started this, like that's just not fair. And so hopefully this gives that, like, you're in healthy range, you're doing the right things, keep it up, keep going, That was another tangent, but I get excited talking about this stuff, you guys. Like it's so hard not to get fired up.
Damon, I think Dude, I think I pulled another hamstring. I'm so excited. Like I'm just jumping up and down, and man, you're such a gift, Holly. This is this is like a master class, right?
Thank you guys. Oh my goodness. I hope it's helpful. That's like the number one thing. Like we talked about with the book with this. I just want it to be helpful, Yes. I want to help.
And you can feel that. You can feel that from
all right. You know what, Holly? Let's keep that momentum. Let's not slow it down. No. Everybody's on fire right now. Let's keep the party rolling. And the big tagline in that section right there works 100% of the time.
Yep.
Holly is on record. She's putting her reputation on the line. I agree with you 110%.
I do too.
Let's keep climbing the pyramid here. What do we have next?
So when you reach the lead generation phase where your conversions are improving monthly, where you're at the point where maybe you're like, okay, I can be a little choosy now with leads. Obviously, when you're a little, like you said, Damon, you see that first download come in and everyone's like, ah! The whole sales team is like, who's going to get to take it? Like, oh my God, it's working. We're so excited. But this is when things are coming in and it's like clockwork. Things are really rolling through. And maybe now you're talking about not just setting up marketing automation, but sales automation. So having your marketing team help with sales enablement, which is just essentially the philosophy and the practice of arming your sales team with content and templates and whatever they might need to do their jobs better. And my colleague Josh, he is sales of P80, and something that he always says, and this is why I can say it, he always says salespeople are not always the best writers. So tapping into your marketing team at this point to also help with some of that sales automation, to get those people in the right places, to make one-to-few or one-to-many communication feel very one-to-one. That may be a necessity at this point in time when you have all of these different leads to parse through and figure out where they're going to go, what the quality is. And this also may be when you're at the point of discovery and development of new personas. Something we've seen with clients who have been with us for, past the 2-year mark into years 3, 4, 5, is that's when it starts to be like, okay, we've never gone to the West Coast before, but our business is growing. So what does it look like if we wanted to start to ship to the West Coast? How do we target those people? And then you're starting back at the beginning, not square one for everything. You've still got your existing stuff rocking and rolling, but you're spinning up these new campaigns, these new ideas, these new personas. That could be a new product, a new market. That could be getting into a different supply chain. Maybe you want to, I just attended this amazing conference on Tuesday for Retool Western New York, which is really focused on clean energy manufacturing, specific to our region of the world. And so much of that was, how do you get into those supply chains for electrification, for wind, for solar? And this would be a really great process to take if you're looking to break into a new supply chain. So maybe you've already got healthy lead generation, healthy marketing, but you want to do something new. This absolutely applies to kind of starting at square one and fleshing that out. You might be at that point, a couple of years on from starting this marketing, because you really are starting to see it work and pay off. Anything on lead gen before we hop into inbound sales?
Man, all right. That's all right. Let's unpack a couple of things there, Holly.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, covering, am I expanding West Coast? You talked about, different industries, different technology, maybe something with sustainability. We're doing a little workshop on Thursday about AI. That's a little, something new. So, you've uncovered a lot. Damon, what do you want to piggyback on here?
No, I'm just listening at this point.
Yeah, we're just students right now, just taking notes from the teacher. So
because really this is a framework that literally any company can develop if they want to.
Yeah.
I mean, inbound marketing to me is it's a long game. Many won't do it. That to me is like a diamond just sitting there to be found. And because people won't put in the effort to do it, they're going to want to just think, I can go out and buy Google ads. Okay, great. You can employ that strategy a decade ago, but Google clicks have probably quintupled or more in cost, sometimes 10x easily.
Yeah.
And you just can't afford to do that. But when you develop the inbound strategy and you're helping your soulmates, it is something that your investment of time, your investment in resources to develop this, yes, but you can do this with almost zero ad costs if it
100%.
Yeah. And that's the thing over time, that is the real gold. You've got competitors out there, if they shut off the ads, they're done. You build this engine that just it's like the perpetual motion machine, right? Just keeps going. That's the thing that's so cool about inbound marketing.
And that's especially topical with AI and everything else too. Like, one of the big questions right now is what happens with Google ads with, AI. We're seeing obviously AI generated search results showing up in the top part of Google now, sometimes even above ads. What does that mean for this $1 trillion business of Google ads? And what does that mean if, to your point, you've been banking on that? And there's obviously lots of questions and concerns about, okay, well, what does that also mean from the organic perspective? And sure, we may see organic traffic on some awareness stage things take a little bit of a dive over time. But what's important then is you're still building this in your helpfulness, and you can't purchase a solution through AI, right? You still need to find a partner. And so even if someone is taking to something like ChatGPT and educating themselves on a concept, determining their solutions, narrowing it down, eventually they're still going to need to talk to a person, talk to a company, talk to a whatever, and they'll be well beyond the point of ads at that point.
Yes. And you make a great point about Google and Google search. One thing that will not change with Google, if people can't go to the solution provider and get their solution, Google doesn't exist. Doesn't
Right.
do anybody any good.
Yep.
So how it gets served up can get served up a lot of other ways. But even now, when you look at the results with the Gen AI results, there are links at the bottom of their summaries, right?
There are. Yep.
And Kurt and I were talking about this yesterday. If you fill the Google Eats bucket of love,
Yeah.
and you are better than anybody else, you will be in that spot.
100%. It's one of those things where, like, I'm not worried about AI. I think it can only help us. I
Nope.
think it can only, like, right now is obviously in a very early phase. Like some of those ludicrous Google results that are making the rounds on the internet, where it'll be like, how do I thicken my pizza sauce? And the AI result will be like, add Elmer's glue. And people are like, well, but what that's doing, to your point, is driving people to look for places of trust, of authority, of so it shouldn't scare you. It should look like an opportunity for again, just your valuable business and your valuable content edging over the rest, whether that's just poor faith marketers or that's AI. And especially in the manufacturing space. And we'll touch so much more on this next week with the Purdue MEP session, but it's very hard to replicate that knowledge of an engineer or of a technical perspective. That is still something where ChatGPT, your generative AIs just don't compete at this point in time. And maybe they will someday. But also, the important thing to note is if your content is good and valuable and you are a company that is innovating, you have solutions, you're the best kept secret, you are the only person that can produce that and write about that, because it doesn't exist yet. So AI can't possibly offer up those solutions. So for so many reasons, yes, Damon, you hit the nail on the head. I completely agree with you.
Holly, have you ever heard of Damon? What was that phrase again?
The Google Eat bucket of love.
Google Eat bucket of love. No, I'll have to tell Zach.
Holly, that might have to go in your second book, right? And he dropped that on me this week. The Google. So if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, Holly, do you want to explain Google Eats for anybody out there? What on earth are these goofballs talking about?
Yeah, so Google Eat is just EEAT. It's expertise, experience, authority, and trust. And those are the four things that Google is looking at, that the Google algorithm is looking at when I always say that like it's sentient. It's not. When the algorithm is looking at what it is going to show to the users on the search engine results page, it is looking for experience, expertise, authority, and trust. So what that means is it's more important now than ever for there to be a person behind what you're producing from a content perspective, for that person to have an author bio and also a LinkedIn where they're producing content and having all of those different social signals and things. Blogs that have been going for a long time will do better than things that are brand new, but things that are brand new can offset some of that with just really building up that experience and that authority and that trust. So essentially, it's just an acronym for saying what's highly most important to Google and what should be at the heartbeat of all of the content you produce if you want Google to show it to your soulmates.
Yes. So 2 takeaways: Google Eats bucket of love, coined by the one and only Damon Pastulka.
I love that.
And do not put Elmer's glue in your pizza sauce. That is not not advised. And so, Holly, all right, you guys are killing me today. So as we are coming into time, please, how about tie up a little bow and just wrap this present up? What do we have last?
Yeah, so we've got your SQLs are improving monthly. Your ROI is tremendous on your marketing. You're building decision stage resource diversity. And what that means really quickly is just, we talk about things in the journey that your soulmate takes from having a problem to deciding that you are the solution is the awareness, the consideration, and then the decision stage. So decision stage assets are the ones that are all about your company. When you're starting out, you want to focus on awareness stage assets because no one knows who your company is yet. So if you're writing all these blogs that are like, here's why P80 is so great, it's like, cool, but nobody knows who P80 is. So that's not super helpful. You want to be talking about, here's why inbound marketing helps manufacturers solve their problems. Here's how to get with those types of things that solve the problems for your customers. So at this phase, you want to really be building out why you are the best solution, because you're starting to move people through that funnel, and then they can look at, okay, I've got my problem solved, my question answered. What are potential solutions for solving this problem? Who should do it? Okay, it's this company whose website I'm on. There's a lot more about that could be talked. All of this honestly could be talked about for days, and we just don't have that kind of time. And then also B2B e-commerce. And Kurt, I know you are the absolute God of B2B e-commerce. You have the tips, you have built the resources, but what can be really important here, I'll just give a brief overview, then toss it off to you, is if there are those things that you are able to build e-commerce around, build a contained user experience on the website from thought to purchase, this is a really great time to build it, because you have that reputation, you have the infrastructure, you have the traffic coming in. That's not to say you couldn't build it sooner. This is obviously very, very much dependent on the business. But sometimes even for companies who hadn't considered e-commerce before, this can be a phase where it makes a lot of sense because you have so many leads coming in. Is there something that doesn't need to be custom that you could put on e-commerce? And like I said, Kurt, I am now swimming in a pool that I do not own, but I would love for you to take the baton and talk a little more about that.
Well, I'll just scratch the surface, because I want to we're just really marinating and just, loving this, everything on your book, everything in the pyramid here from a B2B e-commerce. So Damon, we had Coach Kevin from Big Commerce was our guest on the show last Friday. And man, did we do a deep dive, publicly traded company, incredible SaaS product, SaaS solution. So you can go back and check out that episode. I just did a live stream on Tuesday with my dear friends at Swift Otter. They are the equivalent what Protocol 80 is to inbound marketing. Those guys are to B2B e-commerce. We did a deep dive on configurators. So, there are configurator opportunities. We can talk about customer portals. So if you are a manufacturer, I'm a little bit biased. If your e-commerce is no longer a nice to have, it is mission critical. So, connect with me, connect with Damon, connect with Holly. We can do a deeper dive on that. So that's enough on B2B e-commerce. Holly, let's start wrapping things up here. What are some parting thoughts? How do you want to tie this whole thing together for our friends out there?
I want to start by saying this was probably super overwhelming. There's so much here that this is probably like drinking from a fire hose. And it's important to just start. So even taking a look at your website, if that hasn't been done in a while, starting there, rolling the ball, seeking resources, free ones, talking to your local MEP is great. They might be able to point you in the direction of other resources you could take advantage of, potentially grants to do this kind of thing. So just starting to get the ball rolling. One of my favorite phrases in the world that my mom always says is progress, not perfection. This is so overwhelming. And like we just talked about, this takes years to get to the top of the pyramid. So just getting started, starting to think about these things, seeking resources, whether it's my book, HubSpot has so many free academy courses on inbound marketing that will get you a lot of this information as well. Hopefully there's enough here to get you started with research, enough terms and things. But I would say starting is starting. And the best thing to do is move forward. And this kind of thing can be very overwhelming, especially for a solo marketer, but it is possible. And the best thing to do is just to begin. As small as that step might be, it's still a step forward.
Drop the mic. That was, I'll tell you this, and you know what? And yes, it definitely could be overwhelming, but I'm shamelessly going to share, grab Holly's book, and Holly breaks it down in just such simplistic form, easy to understand. Damon, we've got our dear friend Harry dropped a question here. So Harry says, great presentation, Holly. Love your energy. Is there one more phase to delight your new customer and turn them into a promoter? My goodness gracious. Does that happen to be in your book somewhere?
Harry, did we just become best friends? There is a part of the book, part 3 is called Floating Above the Triangle, and it looks like this. And what those little clouds say are, one of them is inbound customer service. So that is what kind of comes after this. I wanted to focus exclusively on like marketing and getting people in. And then, so that really could be a book of its own. But to your point, Harry, yes, keeping those customers happy, delighting them, turning them into evangelists for your business is so important. And some of that goes along with setting up those good customer service platforms that enable you to do surveys, to set up a way to make it really easy for your customers to leave reviews and interact with your company, and all of those types of things. It is so, so important. I'm so glad that you touched on that. Yes, I don't have tons of resources to deep dive on that today, but that is so important. And to your point, is kind of that next, once you're in heaven, once you've climbed the pyramid, that is what you want to focus on. The other two areas are trade shows and conventional marketing. And looping the inbound philosophies into those three things are sort of the next ways to, like you said, continue to delight customers, take it to that next level. Yes, yes, yes.
Are you on mute, Damon?
I did that again. I think we just figured out that Holly's got a couple more books to write.
I think Holly has another book. I think now, and Damon, she might use, just for the record, she might use Google Eats bucket of love. So just to let you know.
I'm lifting that right now.
There's no might about it. So, hey, I just want to, first off, I'm like a proud uncle right now. Holly, and I mean this from by my heart. You are just such a breath of fresh air. You're just so refreshing, brilliant. Your energy is off the charts. We have you back at Purdue MEP. Go to the Purdue MEP, sign up for her webinar on Thursday, June 20th. It's at 12 o'clock. It's completely free. Again, like, you got just a wonderful hour masterclass with Holly here. Connect with her on LinkedIn. Go to Protocol 80. Check. They have a wealth of information, resources. They not only they don't talk the talk, they walk the walk. Everything that Holly just preached, they're doing for themselves and for their customers. Holly, how about Damon? How about a big round of applause for Holly Jobe for just smashing a grand slam every time she's on the show. So what a gift.
Thanks for having me. And I just want to say, if anyone wants to connect on LinkedIn, throw me a question. If you have something specific to your business you didn't want to ask publicly today, I don't know if you can tell, but I love talking about this kind of thing. So I would love to help. You can shoot me an email. You can shoot me a chat. I'd love to brainstorm with anybody who is looking for more info or reads the book and has more questions or anything like that. I just love to talk about marketing. And I'm so grateful you guys gave me the time and space to do so. This is so much fun. Thank you guys.
Are you kidding? So I'll tell you, you are a dear friend. We just love what you're doing. We respect, admire, just worship the ground that you walk on, and you are just a total marketing guru. We appreciate you, Holly. So can't wait for Thursday. We have all sorts of fun things coming up. Working together with our dear friend Holly and the team at Protocol 80. So, my goodness gracious, Damon, let's close things out. Let's go here, man. That was like one of the fastest hours. I thought, this was good. So be someone's inspiration, man. Just like our dear friend Holly. Big round of applause for Holly. Just absolutely crushing it. Damon, I want to wish all the fathers out there happy Father's Day. Why don't you close us out, my friend?
Yes. Thanks so much, Holly, for being here today, sharing your thoughts. Like always, just wow. Enjoy the conversations and what we get to learn from you every time we have you on. Thank you. I want to also thank everyone listening, the people commenting. Harry, and I couldn't see the second person. We can't see your name, but hey, thanks for being here today. And Sadek, thank you for being here today. All of you that are listening, didn't comment, we appreciate you being out there. We appreciate your support. And if you got in late on this, believe me, if you care about inbound marketing and building your sales for your company, you need to go back to the beginning and listen to this and pick up on some of the things that Holly talked about. Also, check out Holly's book, Inbound Immortal. Is that what it is? Inbound Immortal. There we go. We're going to make sure. I was so excited. I just about lost it there. But, and just as Kurt said, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Have a great weekend, everyone. And we will be back again next week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone.